Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is July the 5th, 2026. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Sunday. Hopefully, it's been a fun day for you. Hopefully, not just a good Sunday, but a good weekend. Hopefully, a good 4th of July, America's big old birthday. 250. Hooey. We can just kind of go through a good recap of my weekend. Overall, it was pretty tops. It was pretty good. But starting off Friday, after the podcast, got myself together. We headed up on over to my beautiful, wonderful girlfriend Zoe, and we hung out. That was the modus operandi for the weekend, plus going to Northside, which we'll get to. But I got there a little bit earlier than I usually do because we got off of work early, which was nice. Overall, work was fine. It was like 4 hours. I got time and a half, which was pretty good. Post work, I hit up the gym. Gym was solid, and then came home. But headed off to Zoe's food corner. Let's see. We actually have back to back kind of bad orders, fast food wise. Started off with some McDonald's. I had got a double quarter pounder with cheese and bacon and add Big Mac sauce because I was just feeling it. But really, what I had wanted, like a big part of this, was the fries. And when I had ordered it, I'd ordered that. I think some apple pies. One for me, like one for Zoe because she'd already eaten beforehand. And I got her a drink, and I got myself a drink. So I'm thinking in this whole time, the person understands, like, hey, they're going to upsize my thing or whatever, but that just didn't happen. They just kind of took everything as I ordered, like, piecemeal, and I was like, oh, because I didn't notice that until after the fact. So I'm assuming they just didn't charge me for the Friday and make it a meal or whatever. So that was a bit of a bummer. So that was flop one on our fast food mission for Friday. Then Friday night, we went out to Taco Bell to get some food, and it's late night. And it took a little bit to get everything, ordered and everything, and get the order. And sure enough, they fuck up the order. So not really gonna give a full rundown of the whole food. It kind of got fucked up. But the highlight would have been the street chalupa. I guess it's like a newer item. I really was just feeling a chalupa, so I got a steak one, and it was good. It was fine, pretty good for, I guess, a Taco Bell taco. But yeah, they kind of flubbed up the order there. That was kind of a bit of a bummer, pretty frustrating. But so it goes. But moving on into Saturday, we hung out for most of the day. Throughout the weekend, we watched, Drag Race. We watched some Survivor, watched some, like, Brittany Broski videos. I was watching some, like, Magic the Gathering tournament stuff, so that was nice. But we did wind up going to Northside for the rock and roll, red, white, and blue, red, white, and rock. I don't know what the fuck they call it. But it was fun. It was a good time. Nice to, be out. I feel like I hadn't, like, gone out and seen the homies in like about a month. So, I'm a Northside stranger now. It's strange. But overall, it was definitely a good time. We started off, we hit up Tavern and, had drinks or whatever, hung out. I say, we had drinks, but really, I just had water. But let's see, food wise, we wound up going to like the park area of Northside where like there was a bunch of performances and stuff. There was some food trucks, stuff like that. You could also get more drinks, but I had gotten a burger from a place called Mad Anthony's that was set up there. Overall, it was a good burger. I would say it was just kind of like, it was just giving burger with like white cheese on it, but it definitely had a nice crisp to it. And I'm sure if I'd went into like their establishment on a normal day, it would probably be a pretty yummy, tasty little burger. But overall, it was good. It was definitely great for the situation, and fine for the price. No complaints there. Put some pickles on it. Dressing up a little bit. Zoe and I had some of that. Split a burger together. Then later on, when it opened up, there was a Mexican food truck, and we got a burrito with beans and rice, and the burrito was like chorizo and steak. Very good, very yummy. Definitely enjoyed that. That was probably like the highlight, maybe the highlight. The next thing I'm gonna get to, I think, for Sunday was maybe the food highlight. But very yummy, very good. There were some live shows. Overall, good time. We went to Junkers to kind of like reconnoiter a bit. Like in between some shows, and the main person we were like the main group, what was it, Daikaiju, that we were going to go see, they almost got rained out because essentially there was like a big lightning storm coming through and everything. Like, it was nice though while we were at Junkers. Essentially, they had a big old fireworks situation, which is like a yearly thing. Overall, is this a sanctioned thing? No, but like it's just a couple of motherfuckers come through with some like fucking big booms and they make it happen. So overall, it was nice. You just had to stand in the awning, make sure you didn't catch a hot one. But definitely a good time there. But some storms rolled in, and so they kind of had to close the park down for the outdoor aspect. But they were luckily able to move everything to the tavern, so we went back there. And then a big, rain kind of moved through. And I don't know. At that point, I was definitely getting tired. I was ready to pack it in. The shows could have kind of gotten pushed back anyway, so we left a little bit earlier. But when I say earlier, it was like around midnight. So headed back to Zoe's. We were gonna get some more food, but all the food places were closed. Given the holidays, given that it was so late, so we came home. We chilled for a little bit. Oh, actually, another thing that we got throughout the weekend, I didn't mention this, a big old thing of German chocolate cake. Very yummy. I want to say Friday night we had some. I was too tired to eat some Friday night, but I did have some like Saturday, like early afternoon, early morning, I think, and then later on that night we had some more German chocolate cake. Very yummy. But we got up Sunday, a little bit later. I kind of was up earlier, but I tend to get up early. I don't sleep that much. But I try to get some naps in. But, post Saturday, we were just in, kind of a little bit of chill situation. Then, we finally got ourselves up and Adam, and we went to Waffle House. I feel like I haven't been in Waffle House in a while. Maybe about a year or two, maybe. Definitely first time Zoe and I going together. So nice to get a cute Waffle House date in. What was the order? The orders. I got 2 classic waffles. I got the Texas Bacon Lovers BLT with like extra pickles on the side. And then for my hash browns, I got them smothered and covered. And then let's see, Zoe got two waffles with blueberry nougats, which I was happy she got because I wanted to try them. And she got toast and then also hash browns smothered and covered. So overall, good spread for the both of us. All of it was very yummy food. I don't know. I feel like no matter what time of the year, whenever you get that craving for like just some waffles and some bacon, like Waffle House will hit. Waffle House won't do you wrong. And we got a little bit of like, it was one of those moments where like there was a bit of work drama on the floor at the local Waffle House. Tensions were a bit tight, but overall the service was great. So I'll definitely give them that. They were working through it. That's for sure. You got to give credit where it's fucking due. Okay, on a fucking holiday weekend, no less. So kudos there. But yeah, came home from that. I needed a nap, so I took a nap, and then next thing I know, more or less my time was up for the weekend, and decided to pack it in, get home. Normally I would have gone to the gym again, but I was like, I need to get home, just to kind of reconnoiter, let's say it that way. And I wound up coming home and, getting settled a bit, doing some research for the day's episode. And I will probably do the gym situation a bit later tonight, but we'll see. I'll keep you posted for the next episode. But yeah, that has been the weekend. It was a nice red, white, and blue 4th of July, brother. I will say this was my first holiday weekend, like doing it no alcohol, like zero. I'll tell you, it hasn't been a big difference. It was nice in the sense of like being out and about, and it was so hot to like just be drinking water was kind of a boon, like kind of a good thing. I'll say that was cool. Overall, it was still great to just chill with my friends. Like Also, another thing with my friends too, and this is never to judge anyone. However you party, as long as you're good, as long as you're solid, you're safe. But my homies, my peoples, they really don't get too fucking faded. They really don't get too fucking lifted off the beat in terms of drinking too much. You know what I mean? So we have a good time, but it's generally chill anyway. So I never really feel like I'm out, I guess, in the situation. I never felt like I was out of sorts or, anything like that. So that was nice. It was just overall good to see my friends again and hang out and do all that and eat yummy food and stuff. So hell yeah, it was good company, good fucking times. All right. So yeah, that's been my weekend. Let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into the news. I got some ice in my water. Oh. Mm-mm-mm-mm. I did stop by the Wawa and I got some lemonade too. A little treat for myself. Kind of going out of order here. Ooh. Oh boy. Ooh. Ooh. Speaking again, too lifted. Excuse me. All right, our first story comes from Yahoo Entertainment. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are married. Couple wed at Madison Square Garden in a ceremony officiated by Adam Sandler. Wow. No paper rings here. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are officially married. The couple locked it down at Madison Square Garden, a place where Swift has performed numerous times over her career. The venue, typically used for sporting events and concerts, offered the A-listers privacy as they walked down the aisle thanks to its underground parking and no windows. The night was one to remember, according to Kelce's mother, Donna. When asked about the big day, she said, "I really can't say a heck of a lot except it was magical, man, magical." Stars reportedly at the nuptials include Gigi Hadid, Bradley Cooper, Hugh Grant, Ethan Hawke, Mariska Hargitay, Ed Sheeran, Camila Cabello, Brad Pitt, Carly Kloss, yada yada, a whole bunch of motherfuckers. Let's see, Adam Sandler was officiating. I don't know why there. I guess Travis Kelce and them from the Happy Gilmore 2 movie, they really hit it off. They're good buds. I don't know. One thing I thought that was interesting from what I heard from the rumor mill is that they converted Madison Square Garden to look like a castle from the inside. So I don't know if they ever get any pictures of that. That would be interesting to see, I suppose. But overall, this is just kind of I don't know. It's a bit of a nothing burger, you could say. But this, for some people, they're calling this shit American royalty. I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. If you enjoyed this shit, if you got your Taylor Swift, jacket on and you headed out to New York to go celebrate that shit, hell yeah. I mean, if that is your 4th of July, hell yeah, brother. That by all means. But yeah, I don't know. It was something I saw was I think Friday night or whatever. So I figured, hey, we'll put it on the docket to cover. So yeah, from marriage to death, let's move on to our next story. Let's see, CNN, July 4th, 2026, public mourning of Khamenei. Let's see, this is a bit of a live ticker update that they've closed. We're just going to read a little bit from here, the updates, or developments, whatever you want to call it. Mourners call for revenge. Some of those attending the funeral for slain Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei expressed anger and sadness to a CNN team on the ground in Tehran. Millions are expected to attend the multi-day event. Let's see. Mystery surrounds a new leader. The late Ayatollah's successor, his son, Mojtaba Khamenei, has yet to make a public appearance, adding to doubts about his health and fueling questions over who is leading the nation. I think it is worth noting, though, that other of his siblings and stuff, family, have come and paid respects and all that and said stuff, yada, yada, yada. Let's see. Iran's Islamic Revolution. Let me run that back. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has warned against any attempts to target the country in the coming days. President Donald Trump said the U.S. is giving Iran a week off for the funeral. Meanwhile, tracking data shows at least 8 ships U-turned after attempting to use a Strait Saturday by hugging on the Omani coast, highlighting the ongoing difficulties in their critical waterway. I find this funny because we talked about this aspect before, where it's like Iran is very explicit. Like, you have to take the Iran way through the strait. If you don't, you are going to have problems with us. And they're just tankers that are like, we don't want to take that way. It's technically just more hostile, that, there might be mines, whatever. They come up with their reasons and they just go, well, we want to take the Iranian way out. We just want to get out, man. Let's go. And essentially, Iran's like, no, we'll fucking hit you up if you do that. We'll make this whole thing a fucking problem if you do that. So that's still a fucking issue. There's more on the ticker here, but I just kind of wanted to highlight that big chunk of it. I guess just to kind of a bit of a reminder, Khamenei was killed in the opening offensive by the U.S. In a joint effort between the U.S. and Israel. Saying, hey, we're going to kill the Ayatollah, going to cut the head off the snake, so to speak. This will be quick and easy, just like Venezuela and other, Israeli, attempts and operations before. It's going to go so well, so great, and it's going to be another win, another, peaceful outcome for Donald Trump. And here we are, months fucking later, still in the fucking thick of it. Gas is finally coming down and things like that, but it's been a hell of a fucking time, a hell of a start to the fucking summer. Here we are. We're finally getting to the mourning process for Iran here. So, I don't know. That's definitely a relevant update in and of itself in terms of this whole conflict, this whole war. But also, showing signs that this shit is definitely not over. We're not out of the woods. We can go and move on. Get back to New York, actually, zigzagging around. From NBC News, mass gunman opens fire at Brooklyn family barbecue, wounding 8, including 4 children, police say. At least 8 people, including 4 children, were shot late last Saturday at New York's Coney Island, leaving 1 woman in critical condition. Officers responded to reports of multiple people shot at about 10:35 p.m. New York police said in a statement, they found 8 victims with gunshot wounds in the front courtyard of a residential building. The victims, 4 adults and 4 children, were taken to nearby hospitals. The ages of the children were 6, 7, 12, and 14. The preliminary investigation indicates an unknown man dressed in all black and wearing a black ski mask approached the fence line along Surf Avenue in Brooklyn and fired multiple rounds into the courtyard where a family barbecue was taking place before he ran away, Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch said Sunday morning. There is no indication at this time that there was any argument or altercation at the barbecue before the shooting occurred. Police are investigating whether the shooting may be connected to a confirmed gang-related homicide on the same block last week, she said. A Tech 9 style firearm equipped with an extended magazine was recovered at the scene, along with 10 spent shell casings. Tisch said. No one has been arrested. Let's see. Several victims are expected to survive. A 21-year-old woman remains in critical condition after she was shot in the chest. There's more details on in terms of the extent of the injuries, which I really just don't want to get into. Definitely very sad. Condolences to everyone involved in the situation, and I really hope that they can get to the bottom of it. I know a lot of times in these situations, we cover them, especially in the holidays and stuff. It can be a big event, just turn sour because of some kind of altercation or something to that effect. It seems in this situation, it is a bit of a different maybe motive, what caused it, but we will definitely come back if I can get any more details in terms of, what was the motivation behind this. Not that it's going to excuse any of this actions or whatever, if it winds up being gang related or whatever. But hopefully they can, apprehend the person and, there can be, some sense of justice. Hopefully, most importantly, everyone pulls out of this okay and alive. Let's move on, though, to our last story. I'd say this is a bit of good news. So we're closing off, with something nice and light. Let's go ahead and take our last break, and we'll close it out actually in China. All right, from NPR. Pastor freed from prison in China weeks after Trump requested his release. A pastor of a prominent underground church who was detained in China in October has been released, less than 2 months after U.S. President Donald Trump brought up his case when meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing. His family and rights advocates said Saturday. Pastor Ezra Jing Mingiri arrived in Los Angeles and is finally reunited with his family. Francis Hui of the Committee for Freedom in Hong Kong Foundation wrote on X. He and 17 other leaders of the underground Zion Church were detained in October in one of China's largest crackdowns on a single church in decades, raising worries over an escalation in the government's curtailing of religious freedom. A family statement said Jin's release happened very quickly. It thanked Trump and said they know the release could not have happened without Xi's direct intervention. We hope this is a signal of a positive turn for the people of faith in China and relations between our two nations, the statement said. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Jin's case gained attention after Trump, on the way home from a state visit to Beijing in May, said he raised with Xi the detentions of both the pastor and that of imprisoned Hong Kong activist Jimmy Lai. He said he's gonna strongly consider the pastor, Trump told reporters on his flight. But he said Xi told him that Lai's case would be a tough one, which I'm not surprised about there. We've talked a little bit about the Jimmy Lai thing, and you can say I'm wrong about my take about how I get why China handles that shit the way it does, especially with the Jimmy Lai, or not. But this one I think is just an easier compromise because religion is involved, and they kind of get to it in terms of obviously China is, communist, and essentially it's yes, we have an atheist way of looking at things, and there's definitely a reason why we don't want to have too much religious, not oversight, but influence and have that trickle into government stuff. We want to make sure that shit is, regulated, just every other fucking thing. Let me just actually read a little bit more here before I get into the weeds. The Zion Church is among the largest underground or house churches in China that are unregistered with authorities. They defy a requirement that believers worship only in registered congregations. Now, in America, I feel that's just a thing that I definitely don't think about at all. I remember being religious back, when I was younger. You'd have your building that we eventually wound up getting and stuff like that. That was a big fucking deal. But essentially, we would set up and, congregate and do the things that we wanted to do. And we really didn't have to, bat too much of an eyelash about that. But, I guess in China, there's way more stipulations, way more regulations, with that kind of stuff. And, essentially with Jin, he was defying that, or, him and other religious leaders were defying that. And, essentially the party was yeah, we're going to fucking put the kibosh to that. We're going to get on that. So yeah, definitely something that I can understand where, people can say, hey, that's really fucked up. I can definitely understand too that is a censorship of sorts, a suppression of, people's freedom to express themselves and, their beliefs and things like that. I can definitely see that as a problem. Regardless, all that shit, I am happy that he was able to be released. That's always good news. He gets to go home and hopefully be with his family and stuff like that. So yeah, anyway, we'll go ahead and close it out there. Close it out that way. But yeah, that'll be the episode for today. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/ZanNews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, isaiahnews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube, follow on TikTok, follow on Spotify, follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. Let's see. Leave a like, leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. All the stars are appreciated. High reviews are always appreciated on the Spotify or Apple Podcast app, wherever you can do that. But if you don't, that's okay. I just appreciate you, tuning in, whether it's every episode, whether it just is whenever you can, whenever it pops up, hey, I'll take what I can get. Hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.